Hello, everyone. There's something I've been reflecting deeply, especially as I watch the state of the world and the state of leadership, which is my favorite topic to speak about. Many people tell me that they're searching for peace. They want peace in their homes. They want peace in their organizations, peace in their own nervous system. And yet, what I'm noticing is that we're searching for peace externally while living internally divided. So, what does that mean? So, we're more connected than ever through technology, yet we are fragmented. We have the professional self that performs, the private self that carries doubt, the social self that curates identity. And somewhere beneath all of that is the essential self that rarely gets full expression. The tension between these parts, quite frankly, is exhausting. And exhaustion is often, it's more often than not, it's not simply about workload, it's about that constant misalignment, the fragmentation. Last night I had a dream of Venus, and what struck me was not the mythology about Venus as a planet, nor the romance, but the integration that it was demonstrated through her appearance. She stood whole, not persuasive, not trying to convince anyone of her power. What she showed me was that wholeness, inside wholeness, there is peace. So I started to think about when I woke up, the ancient archetypes like Venus, Isis, Hathor, or Sophia. So we're not looking at this decorative mythology, we're looking at civilization intelligence. So these archetypes represented harmony, relational awareness, embodied wisdom. They understood that power without wisdom, it destroys systems. And wisdom without structure dissolves into abstraction. So, what does that mean in modern leadership language? We might call this emotional intelligence nowadays, or for the past, I don't know, 20, 30 years, cultural fluency and strategic clarity. But beneath that terminology is something far more fundamental, and that is integration between what we feel and how we act. So, between structure and empathy, between decisiveness and compassion. So, the sacred feminine in its mature form, it's that capacity to hold complexity without collapsing. Think of your mother or grandmother. It is the ability to sense the impact of decisions on human beings, not just on metrics. It is relational intelligence at scale. Now, the sacred masculine in its mature form, it is structure that protects life rather than controls it. It gives direction without aggression and clarity without being so rigid. So when these energies operate separately inside of a leader, fragmentation appears in the culture. So when these two are integrated, the sacred masculine, sacred feminine, when they are integrated, that's when coherence emerges. Sophia, the archetype of embodied wisdom, she represented something we desperately need today. Leaders who can metabolize pressure without transmitting it downward, leaders whose nervous systems are regulated enough to make decisions without panic, Leaders who do not confuse intensity with strength. Peace, then, is not passivity, it is integration. It's how we bring all of this together. It is the state that arises when your inner architecture is coherent enough that you no longer need to overperform, overreact, or overcompensate. It is what happens when your ambition and your humanity are not in competition. Unfortunately, the world right now, it just feels like so much noise after noise after noise because fragmentation, it's very loud. Reactivity, division, but integration is steady. It does not demand attention. It reorganizes environments through presence. So if you're searching for peace, perhaps the question is not how to quiet the world, but how to integrate yourself so fully that you are no longer internally divided. Because leaders who are internally divided cannot build peaceful systems. But leaders who are integrated, they create cultures where performance and humanity can coexist. And I'm just not talking about work. I'm talking about home. It's really starts inside of us. So all this division, all this noise, that cannot be the future of leadership, at least in my opinion. I believe the most coherent, disciplined, and consistent leaders that cultivate and practice and embody this inner alignment will help find peace. And peace is not something we wait for, it is something that we architect. So we are our own masters of architecting what's inside. And architecture, as always, begins within. Hopefully, this resonated with you. I'll see you next time.